Compare the values of f of x and g of x when x equals -1. Function of a is f of x equals -x squared plus 2, and the function of b gives me an xy chart. How am I going to compare the values of f of x and g of x when x equals -1? Chloe is here with her latest tips and tricks. She wants you to know that domain is about the x values and the range is about the y values. If you have a function in the formula f of x equals a over x minus h plus k, your vertical asymptote is equal to x equals h. X-intercepts are when you set your y equal to 0, and your y-intercept is when you set your x equal to 0. Now that we have Chloe's tips and tricks, we can go ahead and compare both function a and function b when x equals -1. So first of all, I know that if my x is equal to -1, all I have to do is take my original function, f of x equals -x squared plus 2, and everywhere there's an x, put in -1. So when I do that, I get negative times the quantity of -1 squared plus 2. -1 squared is the same thing as 1, but we still have that negative in front, and we're still adding that plus 2. So that really ends up becoming -1 plus 2, which equals 1. So when my function of x, or when x equals -1, I get my y value of 1. Now I'm going to look down here at my g of x. Now when my g of x, so when x equals -1, where is that? Well, I can see here that when my x equals -1, my g of x, or my y, equals -4. So I can go ahead and write function b when g of -1 does equal -4. And then I can go ahead and just compare these. When x equals -1, I know that this one up here was 1 and this one equaled -4. 1 is greater than -4. I can also see that that was function a is greater than function b. And then another way I could compare them is saying f of -1 is greater than g of -1. So any of these answers right here would be good for a comparison.